Oh, good morning. Secret, you're in the right place. So I'll sing a line and you sing it back. It's as simple as that. I'm ready. I am ready for love. I am ready. Ready for love. I am ready for love, 'cause love is ready for me. Ain't that the truth? Well, I'm ready, ready for joy. Yes, I'm ready, ready for joy. I am ready for joy, 'cause joy is ready for me. Well, I'm ready, 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 woo! Ready, 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 Freddy. Yes, I'm ready for joy, 'cause joy is ready for me. Take it, Doris. Well, I'm ready, ready for life. Yes, I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready for life. I am ready for life, 'cause life is ready for me. Well, I'm ready, 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 ready. Yes, I'm ready for life, 'cause life is ready for me. Well, I'm ready for life, 'cause life is ready for me. Yeah.
All right. You do know you get to talk. I'm just a little reminder that you get to talk to me about things. So, we are delighted to welcome you all to Unity on the Avenue this morning, and we're delighted to welcome you downstairs for a very special minister-prepared brunch. So I'll feel really sad if I made all that food and you don't come down and eat it. So, and if you don't like it, I apologize in advance. Oh, so everybody is welcome here. We are unapologetically inclusive, which means it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, how young you are, what color you are, what your sexual orientation is, what your pronouns are. Oh my God, is there anything else we can include in that? So, you're all welcome, and we're delighted that you're here. Okay, how about if you join me in Unity's statement of faith? And you might just sort of listen to these words and see if they're honestly yours, or they're just something you say with us every morning, because you're going to get a chance to talk about it later. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
We ground ourselves with joyful thanks and commit ourselves to growing and expressing the boundlessness of the love of higher self that is our true nature. We plant a garden that draws upon the kind of faith that remembers the past by offering beauty to the future while enjoying the presence of this glorious spring morning that has been given to us. We live in grace, and so it is. And from Romans 15:13, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Spirit, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of Holy Spirit. And so it is.
So I believe today is a day of questions. Who am I? Who am I? Who hears when I hear, sees when I see? Who am I? Who am I? Who knows I'm aware, breathes when I breathe? Who am I? Who knows I'm inside, looks at me in the mirror? Who am I? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who am I? More important than holy places, finding mantras or sacred spaces, reading books or wondering why, is asking myself time after time. Who am I? Who am I? Who hears when I hear, sees when I see? Who am I? Who am I? Who knows I'm aware, breathes when I breathe? Who am I? Who knows I'm inside, looks at me in the mirror? Who am I? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who am I? Who am I? Who goes when I go with the flow, flowing with the dreams of my dreaming soul? A soul so brilliant, I brilliantly shine, shining, divine. Who am I? Who am I? Who hears when I hear, sees when I see? Who am I? Who am I? Who knows I'm aware, dreams when I dream? Who am I? Who knows I'm inside and looks at me in the mirror? Who am I? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who am I? Yeah.
As Robert said, this is a day of questions. And when I ask questions, particularly hard questions, and these aren't necessarily easy questions, I hope what they are is thought-provoking questions. And I invite you to think about it. I invite you to I'd like to rephrase that. Give us your authentic answer. I'm not after a unity answer. I'm not after your ability to quote Eric Butterworth, even though these questions are originated in Discover the Power Within, which is the book that's the basis for the series that we're on right now. Reminder that Eric Butterworth was a unity minister in New York City. He started in 1961 in New York City, and his services were in Carnegie Hall and Avery Fisher Hall. Over 2,000 people at one time, not in succession, attended his services. And he was very well known beyond unity circles in a lot of ways. So when we talk about that, a little bit of his book, of course, because it was written in the 60s, had, no internet, no cell phones, no nothing like our world today. But the questions that he asked and the thought-provoking way he discussed those questions is just as relevant today as it was, what would that be? Oh my God, 60 years ago? Okay. So still part of the question. And we're here today to talk about God. Who, what is God? I'm guessing that your concept of God has changed over the years. God in three persons, Holy Trinity. So, from the point of view of information, you always are empowered to talk. You never are required to talk. And we talked a little bit about this last week, although there's not enough of us today to make passing the mic around the circle absolutely easy. But we might start by doing that. And may I have the mic? Thank you. I'm actually going to move and give this mic to Penny. You can have a who, you can have a what. There are many different names that God is called. You can have an Allah, you can have a, I don't care. You can have spirit, you can have, any way you've ever thought about God, you're empowered to answer. And it's a two-part question to start with. How has your concept of God changed over the years from, I'm going to say, when you were a child in Sunday school or a church of some kind, or you've never been to church and you don't have any concept of God, but you hear that word all the time. And for most people, that word either triggers something or evokes something. And it could be either of those. Do you know what I mean? Some people have a real God allergy. That's okay. You can say that. So, Miss Penny, who or what would you say God is?
Well, if you ask me from the age of 5 until 40, God was some anthropomorphic spirit in the sky who sends you to hell and punishes you dearly. And after I got into unity, that, of course, my concept of God changed as principle, ineffable, incomprehensible, a spirit that is working within me to guide me and provide me with all of whatever I need inside.
So I had a similar early life experience and vision and being taught what God was. So, but I also, at the same time, I was part of a non-denominational youth group. young life. And there was such a contrast between what we were studying and learning in young life, mostly through the New Testament, and what was being taught in traditional churches. So I knew I was trying to figure this out and trying out all different religions to try and figure it out. But I was pretty sure I knew more about, I still know more what I think God is not.
Okay.
Not punishing, not judgment. There is no like one man-shaped thing floating around out there in the universe judging us every single moment. I know that's not God. And being part of Unity has helped me get as close to what I think God is. But I know more about what I'm pretty sure God is not.
Well, I drove 45 minutes here to talk about God. It's on my mind a lot. Yeah, we all grew up with the idea that God was somebody. But I guess even as a kiddo, something didn't quite ring true to me. And now it's beyond words, of course. It's when we realize that there are millions of universes and this little blue ball floating around in this particular universe is not the only thing. And I think the thing that has happened for me over the years, especially this past year, is the realization of how interconnected everything is, and that interconnectedness I call God. I still use the word God. It doesn't scare me because it evokes something within me, which is usually a sense of awe and wonder and a mystery. A mystery, part of being a human being in this lifetime is to begin to understand a tiny fraction of that mystery as it is unfolded in our own life. And it's hard to realize that right now in this very room, when we say, surely the presence of God is in this place, well, I happen to believe that's true, because God is everything, everywhere, and that is really beyond human understanding. We can't get our mind around it, but it comes back to how am I living my life? How am I expressing what I consider a destiny or a direction in my life that is guided by something? And I happen to believe that it's love.
Pretty profound. I don't know if I can add anything to that, but I look at there is some type of higher power out there that gives me strength and wisdom when I'm in challenging situations, and it gives me confidence that I have some type of partner out there that will help me through any situations. And for me, that's, however I term that, I just like to think of it as a partner, and that helps me through all kinds of situations.
I go round and round on how to put it into words. I think everybody has different words for God, but for me, it's a sense of a loving energy that's behind all things, in all things, has created all things, and it's a little bit like I believe that energy is within me too, and it's sort of like radio waves or something. When you're tuned in exactly to the right channel, the answers come to you, the directions come, and it's not God judging you, it's you calming yourself down enough to think it through because you have everything you need to do that.
I grew up in a traditional Catholic home with church and God. No Bible, by the way. We did not do Bibles in Catholic Church, but so God was always something up there, out there, in heaven, somewhere out there. Not meaning that I wasn't close to God, but what I've learned over the years is that God is all. There is not one thing that God is not, because there is no fear, there is no limit. It's inside, it's outside, it's everything we look at, everything. God is, to me, God is all.
Well, I was sort of blessed when I was real young. My folks didn't go to church, and so I didn't have concepts. The only concept I have is I went to Sunday school or vacation Bible school a few times, and what I saw in my parents was they were loving and caring towards other people. So I grew up with that. God to some people is a parental image, and that's the image I had. And then as I went on in life, when I was real young, 11 or so, the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses came to study with us, so I got some exposure to that. And then as I went on in life, I found New Thought when I was in my 30s. And God now, to me, the words I use is divine loving spirit, because I know that that spirit just runs through everything, and that we can touch that divine loving spirit at any time.
I don't really have it figured out, so I don't think I have those answers. I have a traditional background like many of us. And I still find some comfort in those little bitty prayers that we used to say. And even though I don't have a flash picture of the guy in the sky on the cloud, I have that, there's some warm sense of feeling that I get when I think about a spirit or the word God. The word God is troubling for me, though, so I tend to try and use the word spirit or something else.
As spirit, we're all God, and we're all God's helpers. And I think we're God's helpers from the very beginning of life. I think God had helpers. I don't think it was one consciousness, but many beings. And we're all God's helpers here on earth.
I've always believed in God. I knew he was out there somewhere. I didn't really think of him as being sitting on the throne with the long white robe and the long beard and the long hair with cherubs flying around him. But I knew there was a God. And but I always thought I didn't know how to get God in my life. God was for somebody else. He wasn't for me. I remember I used to go to church hungover, and I'd be sick as a dog. And I thought, one of these days I'm going to be good enough for God. Good enough for God. Anyway, I didn't find God in church. I didn't find God in school. I didn't find God in a lot of places that I looked. But God did show himself to me eventually, because he got me out of some things that I could not get out of myself. And my faith in him has grown now. I'm in a 12-step program that said God is either all or he's nothing. You can't put God, okay, here, I'm going to give this to God, I'm going to keep all the rest of it to myself. It's got to be God is all or he's nothing. You can't keep anything to yourself because you are a child of God. Now, I have a relationship and a faith to God that I ask for guidance and direction and strength every day. And God is not the Walmart in the sky. I want this, I want this, I want this. Please give me this. God gives me what I need, not necessarily what I want. But my wants are few. Looking at life as it is, needs are the things that need to be taken care of. Wants, material things aren't really all that important because you can't take them with you. But God to me is very real. And he is a very strong presence, and he's not a lightning bolt that's going to send you to hell. God, my God is a loving God, and I thank God for God.
I was very, very confused by church. I did not understand why they thought we were so awful, because I never believed myself to be awful. And this morning, my little prayer was, look at the world as a child. And while this was all going around, to everybody speaking in regards to how they felt about God, the song that came to me is, if God so loved the little birds, I know he loves me too. And I think that's what kept me solid in knowing that I was connected to God, because regardless of whatever else is going on, I know he loves me too.
So I was raised as a child as a Presbyterian. Enough said about that. You know, that means just all the traditional things. And so I didn't connect with what they were saying about God and religion or anything. So once I graduated from high school, I just quit going to church and didn't go for like 10 years. And thank goodness a musician friend of mine in Boulder invited me to come and hear the music at the Unity Church in Boulder. So I said, okay, I'll go to hear the music. And then that started my journey. One of the hardest parts of the journey was coming to the idea that God is not out there, up there somewhere, but inside. That was a big part of the journey for me. Then the next part of the journey was, not only in me, in everybody else too. That was a revelation. And then not only in everybody else too, but in everything. Planets, quantum physics particles, everything. And so we're all connected. So it's been a learning experience, and I like where I'm at right now.
So I'm guessing that most of us in this room, I'm going to say, believe the scientific theory of evolution. Could I get a little nod? Are you with me on evolution? So we started as a molten rock of metal hurtling through space. That's what planet Earth was. We now have giraffes and hippopotamuses and butterflies and us. Now, we know that's millions, billions of years, but isn't it interesting to contemplate how? How did we go from this molten rock of, I'm going to say, iron whirling through space to what we are right now? How did that evolution happen?
It's a mystery.
Well, that's absolutely true. And yet it did happen. So the concept of, we all have seen rocks. We live next to the Rocky Mountains. We know what a rock is. Butterflies, hummingbirds, eagles, chimpanzees, hippopotamus, donkeys. So, Roseanne, you used an interesting word. You used the word consciousness. What if our collective, not individual, but collective consciousness has evolved from that very first moment? What if your consciousness, 1/1000th of whatever part of consciousness, created all this? When we say God is inside of us, we know that there's not an extra person in there. We say spirit, we say energy, we say higher power. Do you ever think about all this? How did we get here? Isn't it fascinating? And each of us is absolutely unique. Even the fact that Wanda and I are both Unity ministers does not make us alike.
God, Spirit. Spirit is God, Spirit is us.
Did you dream up butterflies? Good job.
I think there was a consciousness that did design butterflies before they manifested on Earth.
Interesting. I'm close to you now.
You said something interesting. Could you have done it? And in reality, yes, we could, because there is that essence within us that is what is all. And so in reality, yes, we did it. We could have done it. It is within us. I think that's part of the all that we are.
Can you imagine where we can go? Imagine what is possible with our collective consciousness. We come together in a circle, we come together in unity because we know that together we are more than we are as individuals.
You can look at popular culture for why imagination. Oh, we all know I don't need that. But all right, so we all know imagination creates everything. Like, we have cell phones because someone in Star Trek thought up, the technology. Why can't we talk to each other? Why can't we do it? And regularly, fiction and movies imagine something, then scientists go, I bet we can make that happen. So if that is a collective for creating the universe or creating animals, and people always hear the stories like, you watch when your kids color and they create things, like, where do you think the duck-billed platypus came from? Some, creative entity, whether it was the collective or the individual, goes, well, why can't this exist? And, why can't the hippopotamus be the fastest mammal on the planet, and all of those things. Someone was inspired or thought of it or wanted to see it, and it became your reality. I mean, I just heard something interesting recently, like, we all think dinosaurs roar. Nobody knows that. Nobody heard a dinosaur. Somebody imagined that, and then little kids started doing it, and they put it in movies, and now we think it's fact. I just read something scientifically. They think they probably sounded more like birds than the noises we attribute to them. So to create something from nothing is the human condition. We've been doing that for everything from food to clothing to hats to problem solving to creating from nothing.
The image that comes to me is that if we want to label God is like this vast soup of potentiality and possibility, and we get to play with that possibility. And I'm a very, very, very optimistic person, so I know that together we can create a existence that serves and supports everything in that created existence.
Thoughts?
I have a thought that our collective consciousness had to be involved with the evolution of our galaxy and life on Earth. And we're now taking it to a new level with artificial intelligence. And if you think we've seen something yet, we've seen nothing yet. This is both a good thing for humanity and possibly a very bad thing for humanity and our collective consciousness.
I just read, I think it was yesterday, about chimpanzees. And it said that chimpanzees' DNA is the most like us. And chimpanzees are 99% of the time peaceful and 1% warlike. And they will fight each other in cannibalistic ways. It says they'll bite off toes and fingers, and they are mean, except that they're 99% peaceful. We have not achieved 99% peaceful yet. But it's possible. So, thinking about what is possible. In Unity, we talk about our imagination is one of our 12 powers. What can you imagine? How can you imagine that coming into being? We aren't, quote, selling God as judgmental. We're selling unity, quote, is selling God as a part of you, of each of us, and of the rocks and the trees and the animals and the birds and everything. That collective consciousness. And yet, chimpanzees have evolved higher than we have. What's our limitation? How can we become all that we are? What do you think? We're getting close to the last thought. Somebody, Robert, go, Robert.
I'm reminded of a phrase that I heard from Reverend Mary Morrissey. There's four stages of consciousness. The first stage of consciousness is, this is done to me, meaning we're a victim of circumstance. The second one is, this is done by me. Oh, I'm in charge of everything. Gosh, wow, what a revelation. The third one is, this is done through me. Oh my gosh, I have a co-creator, I have a power. And the last one is, this is done of me, which is even more powerful. And when that last level of consciousness is how we can manifest things in our life and in our lives. So, to me, by me, through me, of me.
This discussion started with, what is Jesus's concept of God? You do know that most of what we are taught isn't the religion of Jesus, it's the religion about Jesus that was added by, I'm going to generically say, theologians over the years, sort of starting with Constantine. We could go back to the Gnostic Gospels, which is where we got the idea that our bodies were sinful. All of these things were added. God isn't an object of worship, but a presence indwelling us, a force surrounding us, a principle by which we live. It's not too much to say that anyone who catches the idea of Jesus' concept will find themselves caught up in a new consciousness that will change their whole life. One of our most common illustrations in unity is that we are part of God in the same way a wave is part of an ocean. Now, when you try to make that about some guy, or you even try to limit it in any way, it becomes incomprehensible. But for us to know that collectively, part of why we're in a circle, collectively we create all that is. You may remember Jesus talking to the woman at the well. She was a Samaritan. And Jesus said at that time to her, God is spirit, and they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth. So 2,000 years ago, this dude named Jesus, who was walking around, got it. That consciousness, that spirit, is the creative force of all that is. Your consciousness, your imagination, your thoughts. So, holding that, I invite you to just take a breath, settle into your seat, surrender to your chair. Let your chair do the work of holding you up. Just as Earth's gravity keeps you from floating away. For this moment, for this time, for this place, we are together in the collective energy of all that is. No one at the head, no one at the foot. Each of us a unique part of a design that is beyond our comprehension. Each of us has a unique place, a unique role, a unique contribution to make to our circle. If any of us isn't contributing, the circle is complete, is incomplete. So we each just take a deep breath. In this moment, we surrender to the chair, totally allowing the chair to hold us up. Acknowledging our own presence, our own breath, our own piece of the divine plan. Sometimes we just have to take a deep breath and say, here I am. I surrender to my role, my place on earth. Our place is here on earth, in this time and in this moment. So we surrender to bringing our best, our all, our consciousness to creating the kind of world that we want to live in. A world that is based on love. A world that is based on joy. A world that is part of the divine plan that together we created. We are grateful for the opportunity. We simply say thank you. Thank you. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We are one now. We are one. 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 We are one.
I think Twinkle is an awesome song for the middle of that.
Meditation song from here on out.
Absolutely. So some of us have strips of paper that say we're consistent givers. Some of us have cash, some of us have checks, some of us use these things. The square machine in the back will be happy to give you a receipt for whatever you give if you put it in that way. And we bless all of those gifts. However they come in, we become part of contributing to the whole. And so together, let's bless whatever it is we're sharing in this moment. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
So one of my favorite spiritual gurus passed away this week. He was a great actor, a great musician, and a great social activist. And he also wrote this great song. That's your part. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. Let me hear you. Do 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 do. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Oh, ha, so is life, na na ha, ha, so is life, na na ha, ha, so is life, na na ha, ha, so is life. We are of the Spirit, truly of the Spirit. Only can the Spirit turn the world around. Oh, ha, so is life, na na ho, ha, so is life, na na oh, ha, so is life, na na ho, so is life.
Awesome job, Robert. I haven't even said his name. Robert Anderson, our awesome musician, comes to bless us all the way from Yuma. Almost farther than Watson. No. Anyway, we're all here, and we're blessing our children wherever they may be in this moment. If you kind of just want to come into the circle, that will allow us to generate some energy and bless them. So we want you to know this is always true. It's true at night, in the middle of the night. It's true in the morning. You are always loved, special, and important. We see you and bless the divine beings that you are. Yes, we do. Yeah. Even if it's twinkle. And so together we know that the light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
I'm ready, ready for love. I'm ready, ready for love. Yes, I'm ready for love. Love is ready for me.